At the moment we have a huge bunch of people that have gathered in Sydney for a conference about the veterinary profession. What is your aim in doing so?
Yeah, sure. I suppose our main aim is to probably improve the skills that the veterinarians are using when they sort of interact with their clients and dealing with the needs and wants of their patients.
Everyone loves pets and they perhaps don't realise how much hard work goes into being a vet, particularly in this day and age. What is the veterinary profession up against in 2014?
I guess internally what vets are up against most is just the emotional toll it takes on them. So some of what we're doing is giving vets the skills to deal with and debrief themselves after they've dealt with some of the emotional things that go on in practice.
And externally?
Externally, you've got competition. So, new channels that are competing for the veterinary market. Okay,
so what are we talking about here? That products that used to be vet only now are widespread?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get them on the internet and you can get them in pet stores. So that was often a really big part of a lot of veterinary businesses.
Has it affected the industry? Are the numbers shrinking because of that?
Numbers of veterinarians? Numbers of veterinarians are going up. So you've also got the threat of more graduates coming out of the universities as well. So that's the other threat. And you've got to try and find some other way of paying the bills.
Because at the end of the day, it is a business, although sometimes I think that pet owners sometimes forget that in the cut and thrust of getting a pet fixed up. Are there any new ways that vets are able to manage, I guess, their businesses as well as doing what they love, which is veterinary science?
I guess probably the key is to delegate. So delegate some of that financial responsibility that people are actually really trained to deal with that. And then they can keep an eye on the bottom line and make sure that you can keep your door open. And the vets can then spend their time looking after the animals, which is what they want to do, and that's what they got into the profession to do.
You're a vet yourself. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in the western suburbs of Perth, so halfway between the city and the beach.
Would you ever consider doing anything else?
Vet-wise or non-vet-wise? I could see other things I could do within the profession that would interest me, but my main interest is doing surgery and being at the coalface, and that's probably where I'll stay.
I think a lot of vets would probably join you there. So in terms of this conference, what do you think the people that are here who are practice managers will get out of it?
I guess they'll get reinforced that maybe some of the things they're doing are working, or they need to go back and reassess how they're doing things, and they're getting it from someone else's perspective sometimes as well.
How do you mean?
Well, they're getting life stories from other speakers who have done the same thing, and maybe they've got a different way of doing it. So and the best thing is the time's often spent outside the lectures where you get to talk to your colleagues, and you find out what works for them.
What sort of things, for example? Can you give some specifics?
Some real life examples? Yeah, absolutely. We're having a session on social media, so you can hear from someone who gives vets ideas on how to operate their social media, and then it creates discussion. So in the afternoon tea session, you'll have everyone talking about what do they post and how do they decide how they're going to post and who's doing it,
Is communication a big thing for vets?
It should be, and it's something we really need to work on. And that's something that comes through a lot of the research that a lot of the AVA has done, is it shows that there's often a real gap between how we're communicating with clients and also what the clients are actually perceiving. What do they actually listen to and understand versus what we're actually saying.
I can probably agree with that one. It's called vet speak. You spend all those years learning all these skills and these big words. It must be hard to drop them. Yeah,
and it's got a name. It's called Venom, which is a really bad name, but it's veterinary nomenclature. So it's the words that we use to describe things.
Right, I'm going to borrow that and use that in future because we've got to do something about the venom. So tell me about the guest speakers you've got this year as well. You've got a couple of overseas ones.
Yep, we've got Rick Griggs, who's come over from Denver in Colorado. He's fantastic, really energetic, and speaking on a lot of the sort of life and mastering the balance in your veterinary and your private life.
Is there a balance? I think vets are on call 24 hours a day, aren't they?
Well, some are and some aren't. And I guess the more of us that are balanced, the more often we're balanced, the better off we are. But I think you talked about being obsessed and a bit possessed in the work you're doing, and I don't know that too many people actually have found how to become balanced, but we'll work on it.
True. And your other guest speaker?
So we've also got Darren Osborne that's come out from the US. He's also from Denver as well, and he's speaking largely on sort of marketing areas and how to sort of, I guess, introduce ways of selling really important health products to pet owners.
And what impact has the internet had on veterinarians' businesses over the last couple of years?
Dr. Google, you've got a lot of clients that they'll often think they're walking in the door with a whole bunch of paper and a diagnosis, and I just want the pills that are going to fix this problem, as well as the fact that they can often buy stuff online as well.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, that's challenging. I mean, how do you know that a vaccine that you've bought online that somehow you've magically given to your own pet is going to work? How do you know that it actually got from a wholesaler in Queensland and it got into your letterbox in Western Australia and then it's actually going to work? Is it going to protect your pet?
I think we know the answer to that one. So, apart from events like this, what else can, I guess, the public expect to see and hear about vets in future? I mean, what are you going to be doing to move things forward?
Well, hopefully the experience that the clients will get will be a better experience. So their vets will, probably communicate in a way that they will understand them better. They'll understand the value of the work they're doing. And they'll understand the importance of how we're going to work together to ensure their pet's healthy and well.
And in a tough economic climate where everyone's watching their dollars, does the price of veterinary care have an impact at all on how often people are seeing their vet?
No, I don't think it does. There's really good research that says that it probably doesn't, but it's a matter of whether they actually understand that there's some value in the money that they're spending. So if you can't tell them where you're spending it and what sort of how they're going to gain value and how it's going to help their pet and their pet's health, then they probably won't buy into it. But they'll buy into it if they can understand the value.
And how are you going to help them understand the value?
Well, we're going to tell the vets to communicate better, to use real words and often let them walk out the door with something that they can actually tangibly look at. So it might just be something as simple as writing down what the plan is and explaining it to them properly.
Great idea. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.